Okay. All right, cool, we're up. Hi. Hopefully everybody has a little bit of energy after eating some food, or you're in a coma, either way. My name is Contra. I build products and create companies in San Francisco, and today I'm talking about some of the experiments I've done with manufacturing small-scale political movements and then using them to influence the government. So we should start out by identifying the root problem, and that's government is broken. So in our system where money equals speech, the everyday person doesn't really have a voice anymore. Endless bureaucracy, corruption, and insane lobbying practices have ensured that the people have no avenue to enact change in this system. Being heard is hard, and rather than spending large quantities of time and patience dealing with this system, most people have become apathetic and just given up on trying to influence it. To get even the smallest issue like a pothole in the street addressed, you spend an hour of time to report it. It takes a few months for it to be marked for repair, and then sometimes up to a year to actually get fixed. Sometimes it just gets completely ignored too. You have no idea what happens after you submit this complaint. So the first step to amplify your concerns is organizing at least 20 or 30 people that share the same passion for potholes as you do. Get them to send emails, make flyers, contact the media, call around, go protest about this pothole problem that you all care so much about. Except the problem with that is nobody is actually going to do that for you. You probably aren't going to do it either because organizing 30 people into a political movement sounds like a full-time job and you have better shit to do than send emails all day. So to make it easier on us, we can use a couple of tools to help us kind of like make this movement with less time and energy. So this first tool from the EFF is called democracy.io, and it gives you an easy way to contact your congressional representative. So you put in your address, your zip code, click submit, gives you a little list of people. Cool, I want to write to all of them. And then after that, you fill out this form and write your email. So now that you have an easy way to contact them, you can organize your community on a website like Nextdoor, which for those who don't know is like a social network for your neighborhood. And it's actually crazy how popular this website is. Like I moved into a new neighborhood and 2 days later there was a flyer on my door telling me that I had to join this social network. So like everybody's on it now. It's pretty crazy. I don't know if they do it over here, but in the US it's like pretty big now. But pretty much you just go post a message on there, say, hey, go to democracy.io and fill this out. We're trying to get rid of these potholes. Go post it. So your funnel ends up looking a little like this. You take your neighbors and you put them on democracy.io. Hopefully this brings enough attention to the problem that you care so deeply about and it gets fixed. Except nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to read your post on Nextdoor, and all the emails you sent are most likely going to get ignored. It's sad that the system has gotten to a place where we can't get anything done. And at this point, you're probably just better off buying the equipment and fixing the pothole yourself. There are groups of people who just go around and just fix infrastructure on their own because the government will not do it. So the problem is as simple as this. I want change, but the government doesn't care, and I don't have enough time to make them care. So to solve it, I decided to start automating and manufacturing these movements. The theory behind it is that at its most basic level, there are two segments to a movement, the officials and the media. The first step is to find the officials who can solve problem X, then write a letter convincing them to fix it. So I've actually spoken with a congressional staffer about this, and they told me that like unless you reach a critical mass of emails, they just get completely ignored. So you really need to bombard them, or the emails you're sending, unless you're sending like hundreds of emails, they're just going to disappear and no one's ever going to read them. And the second piece, and probably the most important piece, because the officials still probably aren't going to care about those emails you sent, is the press. So we pretty much just want to start by finding press who have covered like a situation similar to X, and then write a letter convincing them to cover it. The media is always looking for like interesting local stuff to cover, so they're probably gonna have it like maybe in some kind of a weekly edition of like a newspaper or like a local news website. And the whole point of this is you want to threaten the officials' ability to get reelected because there's nothing that makes a politician do their job better than threatening their ability to get elected again. That's pretty much the only way you can get them to do their jobs, is to just threaten their reelection. So our pipeline ends up looking a little bit like this. We take some money and we take all those tasks, we put them into Mechanical Turk and let it think for a little bit. The more money you put in, the faster it's going to go. So if you put in 20 cents per task, it's probably going to take like a few hours. If you put in $1 each, it'll probably get done within a few minutes. So then Mechanical Turk gives us the contact information for the most relevant government officials and journalists and a bunch of emails to send out to them. We make up some fake constituents with realistic sounding names, addresses, and emails, then send all of our letters from those. One thing I learned is if you send all of these out at once, it looks really suspicious, so you probably want to stagger it out over a couple of days to avoid looking like an automated attack, pretty much. And the first experiment I did with this strategy was at the park across the street from my house. I figured it would be a good place because I can just open the door and see what's going on. The problem I wanted to fix was light pollution. So these lights in the picture create really bad light pollution. You can see there's no shielding or anything. The bulbs are really old. They pretty much just take light and shoot it straight up into the sky like little spotlights. So the fix for this is actually really simple. There's these cheap little guards you can just put on the top of the light that shield the light downwards and prevent it from just shooting up into the sky. So it's a really easy fix. And this is what the Mechanical Turk workers saw, and I'll read it because the font is tiny. Pretend you are from San Francisco. Pretend you are outraged by the light pollution in Alamo Square Park. Write an email to a local official convincing them to fix it. And after posting this, I received my first legal scare. One of the Mechanical Turk workers saw it and notified the local government officials about what I was doing. So I got busted. But whatever, I don't really care because worst case, I can just bounce to Argentina and keep doing the same job because we all work remote anyways. The one learning from this, though, was to include a little thing at the top that says, I'm a college student and I'm doing this for research purposes. I am investigating how people complain or something like that so that they don't call the cops on you. So after 4 hours, I got all of the responses back, and the results were surprising. 20 responses at 20 cents each came out to $4, but the workers spent an average of 5.5 minutes on each response. So $4 bought 2 hours of human time. And the minimum wage in California is $9 an hour, but we got it done for $2 an hour. So how did that happen? I don't know. Somebody's probably being exploited somewhere, which isn't good, but that's for a different talk. Anyways, some workers went way above the expectations. They would read up on local news stuff related to this in the past and cite those as sources. And they would talk about how the person who was previously in their job was better and how they did this, this, and this. One of them was I know you're trying to make a mark on your position, but this is not the way to do it. So 2 weeks after I sent all those emails out, there was somebody in the park surveying the lights to put the shields on it, so that actually worked. Pretty sweet. You can see all of the raw data, photos, and some more metrics about this specific experiment on the domain lobbying.rocks. The second experiment I wanted to do is Kings Canyon National Park in the Eastern Sierras of California. A really beautiful region. It's got some of the tallest mountains in North America. It looks a little something like that if you catch it at sunrise. So the park is pretty much total wilderness. Not a lot of people go there. There's only one road going in and one road going out. During the winter, that road looks a little something like this, so it's closed. The Sierras are the region of California where we get most of the snowfall, and it's also where we get a lot of our water, but as a lot of you probably know, we are in a very serious drought, and there hasn't been any real snowfall in the Sierras for a couple of years. So in the spring, the road looks a little something like this now. Even on a hot day where there's no snow and it looks like this, the road is still closed. The policy defining the open and close dates is like this thing that was set in stone when the national park was created a long time ago. So it doesn't really align with where the weather is now. So even when it's perfectly fine, it's closed. So this is a situation I ran into when I looked up the road conditions online. No snow, roads are fine, drove 6 hours to this national park, get there, there's a gate, and it says closed until April. And I was like, so yeah, I parked my car, I walk up the road is perfectly fine, there's nothing wrong with it. So I was just like infuriated. So I wanted to try investing even less time than my previous experiment. So there's this new service called Magic that launched in the US recently, and the premise is that you give them your payment info and they'll do pretty much anything you ask them to. So I've had them book flights, like order food. I had them call a rental car company for weeks and try to get my lost sunglasses back. And then when they said that they couldn't find them, they filed a complaint with the Better Business Bureau for a refund of my sunglasses that were lost, all without me doing anything other than sending one text message. So yeah, I think my best one is I sent a mariachi band to my friend's house as a prank, and they played for him for like 2 hours or something, and they just wouldn't leave. So I took the same stuff that I would normally put on Mechanical Turk and asked Magic to do it instead. So in this first message, I say, after we book the flights, can you find the appropriate government official to contact about opening the road in Kings Canyon National Park during the winter? Certainly, Eric, I will find out the correct government official to contact. Also, can you get me a list of any relevant media for that region? And at 3 a.m., they responded with everything that I asked for: the name, email, phone number, and address of the government official, 7 local media sources that would cover the story, and that was all with 2 text messages and $0. They did that for free. So their whole business model is they do stuff for free until you buy something through them, and then they take like a percentage or something. So all of that was free, what previously cost $4 and took less time. So big improvement over the last experiment. So I asked them to get the emails after this. I don't have a text message of that, but 2 days later, they sent me the 20 emails that I need to send. So pretty much what they did was they went on Mechanical Turk for me and filed the Mechanical Turk to then get the emails written and then emailed me the responses. And they even like went through and checked the quality of each response and rejected the ones that weren't good enough, which is something that I wouldn't have had the time to do. So it's like super cool. So I sent all of these emails last night. So these are like ongoing experiments. I sent these all out last night. So if you're interested in staying up to date, follow me on Twitter or lobbying.rocks, which has all of that stuff. I'll post progress reports. And the third experiment, I like to think of public infrastructure as an open source project, and it seems like the maintainers are doing a really shitty job closing the tickets and keeping everything up to date. So to solve the problem of too many open tickets, the city of San Francisco has made it harder to open them. It's the equivalent of going on GitHub and closing your issue tracker because you don't have time to read the issues anymore. So the third experiment was to remove the barrier in actually filing these tickets. The subject of this one is this specific piece of sidewalk down the street from my house. It sticks out about 4 inches and it trips people all the time. I can't skateboard down the street because I have to like dodge it. And then there's another broken sidewalk about 2 feet out of this picture. So to file a complaint currently, you have to Google around for a while. You get this really confusing set of forms that asks you for your phone number and like all this information. You got to fill out 3 CAPTCHAs and like there's all this crazy shit you have to do. So I filed a single complaint. Nothing happened. It got ignored for 3 weeks. So I got tired of waiting for that and I wrote a script to file complaints for me. And right now this is just like a little command line tool that I wrote for filing complaints against the Public Works website. But I can picture an app that people have on their phone where it's like, I'm walking, I notice something wrong, I just take a picture of it, and then it's like, that's it. It shouldn't be any harder than that. Like, you should be able to just boop, do coordinates, photo, sent, city knows about it, done. And then be able to monitor like what's going on with it after that. So within a week of filing 30 complaints about this piece of sidewalk, and it got marked for repair, and some nearby ones too. So it worked. It totally worked. Yeah, so I don't know. It's pretty cool. So those are a couple of like low-tech tools that I made to help create these movements easily. But I think the whole goal for me was to automate it entirely and have a program that just does the whole thing on your behalf. So I started working on actually doing this. And right now it's just a command line tool, but I'll probably make a web app around it. You can create a political movement by answering a few simple questions, and then you can run another command that lets you monitor the progress of your movement as it unfolds. So this is me doing the same thing I already did. What city? What's the problem? $15. Cool. Here's your name of your movement. Run this command to check on it. That's it. So just think, so in the background, this is just like doing all of the stuff before, like filing Mechanical Turk requests, sending emails, submitting forms, generating fake constituents, all of that nonsense. So all the stuff you've ever wanted to improve in your city before, but never had the time to do or like really care about, you can do all of that stuff now. As long as you're willing to pay like $5 to do it. You can spin up a little thing that'll just go do it for you. So with $15 and one command, you can now start a small-scale political movement that influences real change in the government. Is this ethical? Is this legal? I don't really know. Is this the future of civic engagement? I'm not sure, but I feel like since Michael put me on the day titled The Future, that maybe it is. I don't know. But I think let's start thinking of our cities as open source projects, make it easier for people to contribute, and they'll do it. Follow me on Twitter if you want to stay up to date with any of the experiments. Instagram if you want to see some cool shit. Thanks for listening. Come talk to me if you have any questions.